Guys, we've got another review here. This one is, as you can see behind me, no, you probably can't see it, but it's the WWE Network exclusive WWE Live from Japan Beast from the East. So this is Brock Lesnar's big comeback match since WrestleMania. Also just to showcase, Brock Lesnar to Japan. And I think it's pretty much just because it sounds cool, Beast from the East. But everyone who's been waiting for this, I'm hoping at least that you were waiting to see Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. That's the match that I was most keen to see. And yeah, I'm just going to get into this and let you know what I thought of the whole event. It's a bit of a random one because it's not really a pay-per-view and it's not really an NXT special. It's sort of a merging of both, in which you've got 2 title matches and then a bunch of random matches. But anyway, let's get into that. So it started off and, just showing off the crowd. Everyone's excited to be there. And it's at the Sumo Hall. And there's a different vibe. It kind of reminds me of something like one of the earlier WWE events where it's not as flashy. It's just a straight up arena, very little stage entrance, and the ring in the middle. Just very basic. And a lot of Japanese wrestling events, they don't really, especially the ones I've seen in New Japan. The entrances and stuff aren't really the main highlight. I mean, people are there just to watch the wrestling. So yeah, it was just a little sort of stage and screen behind, and that was about it. So the first match started off and Jericho's music hits. So yes, Chris Jericho is back for the Japanese tour. And he's got a new jacket and it's awesome. It's all different colours. I love the jacket. I think it's cool. And the crowd freaking loved Jericho. I was going to say Japan. But yeah, the Japanese crowd loved Jericho. All screaming out Y2J. And I know that I think it was the night previous, Finn Balor faced Jericho, so I wish we could have saw that, but kind of the same 2 wrestlers facing in the one event. So they had him versus Neville, which I was like, oh, awesome, this will be really good. And I wasn't surprised. It was actually really, really good. So the difference with this event was, for this match in particular, Neville, he's got his really fast-paced stuff, but this was really good because, I mean, Jericho can go at a quicker pace, but, he is getting older, and he's not just a high flyer or anything like that. He's a very well-rounded wrestler. So this was a good chance to show that Neville can do a bit of everything. And we've seen it before on NXT, but I don't think we've seen it on Raw. It's mainly just sort of a sort of hits of all these moves just for the fans. So this was good, and it had a real Japanese flavour to it because in Japan they seem to like a lot of the mat wrestling, a lot of the technical stuff, a lot of chain grappling, and you saw a bit of that, a bit more of that, and less of the high flying stuff. And as the match progressed, we saw a bit more. We saw a bit more of the fast stuff. There was a couple of good moves pulled off. So, just your standard maneuvers. But one thing that was cool is Jericho got Neville in the walls of Jericho. Neville got to the ropes and kicked out. You thought, okay, that's standard. Everyone sort of reverses that. Neville would go up top, try to hit the red arrow. Jericho reverses it. Standard stuff. But then all of a sudden, Neville climbs on the outside rope and he jumps off, bang, lands into a code breaker. I was like, holy shit, that was the best code breaker I've ever seen. And to my surprise, he kicked out. And I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. Because Jericho, what is he, 11-time champion or something ridiculous like that? He's had bajillion championships. And so you've got the new guy, Neville, kicking out of a massive code breaker. So I was like, shit, what can they do now? And then I thought, okay, they're going to make Neville win. So back and forward a bit more. Neville goes up for the top rope. He goes to hit the red arrow. And then all of a sudden, Jericho puts his knees up right at the last minute. Bang. Reverses it. cracks on like the craziest walls of Jericho that he used to do, where he puts the knee down and they've pretty much like pretzeled. I can't even do it, but holy shit, he just like had him all mental looking. You'll know what I'm talking about if you see it. It's the awesome walls of Jericho, and Jericho got the win. And I was like, fuck yes. I wanted either one to win, but you know, it's nice to see that, you know, they bring Jericho back to actually win a couple of matches. And, you know, it's not taking anything away from Neville, because Jericho is a highly decorated wrestler. So, I mean, you've got so many championships with him. And the fact that he kicked out of a massive code breaker, he got to the ropes of the walls of Jericho. You know, and the fans love Jericho. I mean, you know, he's done Japanese wrestling back in his heyday. So, you know, that was an awesome match. Next match was a surprise. It was a Divas Triple Threat Championship match. And I'm thinking Naomi, Paige, and Nikki Bella. But no, it was Nikki Bella versus Paige versus Tamina. I was like, what the friggin' hell's going on? So, as I expected, it was a generic, crap, boring match. I love Paige, but I don't like Nikki Bella, and Tamina is pretty average. And the moves that were pulled off were just very generic. I mean, it's the way they do it. It's just they just do a move. They don't sell it. They don't get the crowd involved. It's just very like, oh, look, there's a move that I just did, and it's very poorly done. They did do one really cool high spot, though. Nikki Bella was going to go for a superplex onto Paige, and then Tamina comes in for the powerbomb, so they did that whole power superplex bomb, and they did that well, so that looked good. And then Tamina went for pins on everyone, kickouts everywhere. So Tamina was, you know, going a bit back and forth with Nikki, and then she went up for the Superfly Splash, and she missed that. And I'm like, okay, Nikki's going to do a rack attack thing, and she's going to win the match. No, she just runs up and just goes, and forearms Tamina in the face and wins the match. You're in Japan. You're going to use a forearm to win a match in a championship triple threat match. It was the shittest move. I'm sorry for the language, but what the frickin' hell's going on? A forearm to win your Divas Championship match. It was a joke. Anyway, whatever, I didn't care about that. I'm just over it at this point. I mean, I watch women's wrestling in NXT because that actually is wrestling, and it's really well done. Unlike the WWE wrestling, which sucks for the females. Give or take a couple of them. What did we have next? Next, we had Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston. You know, what are you going to do? Anyway, I've seen all the memes before the match, you know, like Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise 66 times and Brock laughs it off. The memes are all good. But yeah, you know, it was just a showcase. Brock Lesnar, you know, oh, he is our giant beast. He is our, you know, our wrestler who no one can beat sort of thing. And he came out and he just was getting hit by Kofi like nothing was happening. He was just like, just walking it off sort of thing. And he went for a German suplex. Kofi actually landed on his feet, which was awesome. Then Brock caught him again, just planted him right on the back of his neck. It looked brutal. Then he gave him another 2 German suplexes, then an F5, won the match, and he thought, okay, that was very, very quick. But then, of course, he comes back. Another German suplex. The crowd are like, come on, yes, one more. Then he does another F5. Then the New Day come out, they run out and they come and attack Brock, and then he gives an F5 to Xavier Woods, and he gives an F5 to Big E like he's nothing. He just lifted up like a 300-pound dude and just throws him like he's nothing. It's a joke to him. It's freaking awesome. So, not really a match, it was just like more of a beatdown, but, you know, just to show off Brock. And I'm always happy with that because I love watching Brock just kick ass. So, after that, they had a promo for Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, and that to me is awesome because you've got the NXT Championship being broadcast live in another country, and it's got a promo. Not a lot of matches have like a big promo. I mean, they do for the NXT events, but this was on a WWE, technically, it's not a pay-per-view, but event. So it was awesome to see that, because it shows, like, you know, they put faith in these two wrestlers, and they were after Brock Lesnar. I mean, you just had the Beast in the East tour with him come out before them, so I was like, that's awesome. Balor comes out. I mean, his makeup is just awesome. He's got, I mean, a little slight variations, like he had white eyes and, you know, just little different designs. I think he had the Eye of Balor on his shoulder. I couldn't really make it out. Then he had some Japanese writing on his back and the Japanese sort of demon on the back. You know, the crowd loves it. And then Kevin Owens comes out, and just all the streamers come in, just colours everywhere, thousands of streamers just all in the ring. And then this traditional thing, when it's a championship match, the geishas come in and they bring a bouquet of flowers and they give it to each of the competitors, and Owens, just true heel style, throws it straight out and, you know, gets the crowd rolled up. And the match was really good. You know, you had Kevin Owens just really, really getting into his heel character. He's just, you know, saying, "Oh, I hate being here. I hate the Japanese audience." You know, it just, you know, it's we don't see it enough. I mean, a lot of the heels we love, you know, we just love because they're awesome. But it's nice to have them actually play a heel character more so than just in an interview or something. So he was doing it throughout the whole match, just trying to really aggravate the crowd. And, you know, we all love Kevin Owens because he's awesome anyway. But it was still good. So there was a lot of good moves. You had Finn Balor, you know, do the sling blade. He did, what did he got into one position. I thought he was going to hit the coup de grace, and you had Kevin's, if you can see, just sort of like bent over, and he hits it on the back of the head. And I was like, oh damn, like he's done that before, but it's like not the finishing version of the coup de grace. It's just sort of like one of his, I guess, signature moves. And then he hit that, didn't get a pinfall. Then he hits that reverse inverted DDT that he does. And Owens kicked out of that too. I was like, oh, okay. Kicked out of that. That's awesome. And then just a bit of back and forward. And then he hits the actual coup de grace, the proper one, straight on the chest of Kevin Owens. 1, 2, kicks out. I'm like, this is cool. And this is a lot, there's a lot of kickouts in Japanese wrestling. They want to feel the excitement. They don't want something just over. They want, you know, that 1, 2, and, you know, kick out and, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you see that in New Japan wrestling. And then we had a cool off the top rope move. I don't actually know the name after all this time of what this move is. It's basically you get him in a fireman's carry over your shoulders, and then you do like a swanton bomb. So fireman's carry swanton bomb thing off the second rope. And Kevin Owens did that to Finn and got a 2 count. Now, I would have liked to seen a pop-up powerbomb kick out from Finn, but I think if that was to happen and then John Cena loses to that, it's sort of like, okay, your NXT champion is better than, you know, John Cena, which is never going to happen. So I think that's why they didn't do it. But he did kick out of some awesome moves, and he finally hit the coup de grace again, and he won. He's the new NXT champion, so that was friggin' awesome. The crowd went nuts, more streamers. They had Fujinami Tatsu, I can't even remember his name, and I'm really sorry, but he's a Hall of Famer from Japan. He is known as the Dragon. He invented the Dragon Suplex, the Dragon Sleeper. Just awesome moves, you know. So he came out, shook the hand of Finn, you know, everyone's going nuts, you know, because he's won the title. And then you had the stare down, much like Cena and Owens. And I'm thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? Is he going to powerbomb him on the apron? You know, the stare down. And you had Finn put out his hand. And, you know, he's out there for a while, and you're like, ooh, what's going to happen? And he puts out his hand, and he's like, and he just jumps out of the ring and walks off. I was like, ah! But it's good, you know, it's showing more of his heel character, which, you know, that's what we need. We need a real villain character. So that match was awesome. And I would have been happy if that was the pay-per-view. Like, if that was... No, I keep saying pay-per-view. I'm so used to that word. But if that was the main event of the event, you know, because I think that was the match that was most hyped. That was the match that I think a lot of us mainly wanted to see. And I think a lot of us knew that Finn would win. I mean, because it's in Japan. He's however many time champion in Japan for, I think it's the junior heavyweight. And, you know, he's known there because he was there for 8 years. And, you know, that's what I think the crowd there wanted to see as well. And I think having him win that title there opens up Kevin Owens to hopefully beat John Cena for the United States title at Battleground, because it'd be a bit weird having the two titles, you know, having the NXT, so you're on one show, and then having the United States title. So I think, in my prediction, that Owens is going to win the United States title and automatically jump straight up to main roster. And after the match, you also saw Hideo clapping in the crowd, but he had sort of like a, you know, he wasn't too happy. So I think maybe they might actually make Hideo into a heel. So that's yet to be seen, but once he's back after his injury, then we'll see what happens. I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen with Sami Zayn either. I feel that he should be on the main roster as well. But I don't know, I also wanted his title reign as NXT champ to be a little bit longer than that short amount of time that he had. But what are you going to do? So yeah, the main event was a tag match. Now, I don't know if Teddy Long had anything to do with this, because it reminded me of SmackDown, a generic tag match. And, you know, tag matches are awesome when you have tag teams that are actually really good together. Now, this was, wait for it, King Barrett teaming with Kane. Why? What the hell? I mean, two heels, but they're not a tag team. They're not even like, I mean, main event status anymore. Then they were versing Dolph Ziggler, who I love, and John Cena. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, you just had one of the greatest freaking championship matches for NXT represented, and then you just have a tag match. And it's not even like a really good tag match. You know, it's not like Rollins and Kane versus Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, you know, or John Cena versus someone for his United States Open Challenge. At least that would have been better. Because John Cena's matches, I will admit, are freaking awesome on Raw. No matter who he wrestles on Raw for the Open Challenge, they're always quality matches. Now, I don't personally like watching Cena in his persona, his character, but he always delivers when someone has a one-on-one match with him. But this was just a generic match. There was no hype, no prestige, you know, it wasn't for a title, there was nothing, there was no storyline behind it. It was just a generic tag team match. Let's pretty much just be like, let's get two guys that are bad and two guys that are good, let's make them wrestle and end the show. So it went from building to just mediocre. So I don't know why they did that. I mean, obviously they want to show as many people to Japan as they can, but they've had the show the night before that was in Tokyo, and also the matches earlier. I think it was just earlier. I don't even know if it was the night before. But, you know, why ruin such a good event with having a mediocre match last? It didn't make any sense to me. But anyway, so we've got Finn Balor as the new champion. So that's what we've got to look forward to on NXT. Whether or not we'll see Kevin Owens have a rematch for the NXT Championship, that's something that we'll have to wait and see, because he will be facing John Cena for the US title. So if he fights for the US title and he wins, I'd assume that he just wouldn't go back for a rematch for his NXT title, because it just doesn't make sense. So depending on what happens with that Cena match, we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, thank you for the rushed review. I just wanted to get something out actually, you know, on the day, because fortunately in Australia, we didn't have to wait till Monday to watch this. So it's Sunday here. It's, I think it's like 5 o'clock. I don't even know what the time is, but the sun is still out, you know, it's still bright. and hopefully I can get this up for you all to watch very shortly. So thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thanks, guys.